about the power of thought. I really believe the saying, as a man thinketh, so is he. And I feel like controlling your mind, like literally, it's been proven that people who get sick, diseases, they have a better chance of healing if they think they're going to be healed. So how amazing is that? Literally, when you think stuff, it changes your cells, the way they move, your vibrations inside of your body. It's literally healing. So imagine, like for instance, I used to struggle with depression. Imagine if you're struggling with depression, you're in a victim mentality, everything is woe is me, oh my gosh, when will it ever get better? And then you take your mindset and you switch it to, I have the power. That we literally, every single person on this earth, one thing we all have in common besides eating, sleeping, and stuff like that is the power of choice. Um, Even if you feel like you're in situations where I don't have a choice, I don't have a say so, or I live with my parents, or I live with abusive significant other, or just whatever your situation is, you might feel like you don't have the power of choice, but you do. Literally, if you don't have the power of physical choice, you always have the power of mental and emotional choice. Like, think of your brain as like a house. Some of us have a super flimsy house. Like, the smallest thing can happen. You stub your toe and your house is falling apart. You're throwing yourself into chaotic thinking situations. You lost control over your emotional dexterity. But if you build your house on a firm foundation of stable emotions, of knowing that you got this, of being in control, of thinking positively, then when something happens, anything, it could be something small, it could be something big, you're more likely to not destroy your whole house. You might lose a window, you might need to replace the front door, but your whole house will not be destroyed. And that's even important, like when you're going into relationships. Like, you know how kids are like sponges, and they soak up stuff, like they are a product of their environment in some cases. The same thing applies for us. Like, when you get into a relationship, or you get into a new career path, or you get into just something different than what you're used to, if you don't have a firm foundation, a stable foundation, you're liable to be uprooted, and your whole situation could go into chaos because you'll be a product of those around you. You'll easily absorb the emotions of those around you, the ideals of those around you, the thought processes of those around you. And that's why I really love the saying, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if your thought processes aren't rooted in yourself, if you aren't 100%, this is me, this is how I think, these are my values, this is what I stand for, this is what I won't stand for, you will be so easily moved and shaken up. So it's important to understand, what am I thinking, why am I thinking this, and think with literally like purpose. Like, and to also understand, like, what is it that you're saying to yourself. Sometimes we say things like, I'm not good enough, or like, sometimes we talk about other people speaking about us, but we say the meanest things to ourselves. I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I can't do this, or I'll mess it up, like I always mess stuff up. Or so whenever I deal with a client and I hear them say something, I'm like, who lied to you? Because most of the time when we say those things, it's things that we heard from other people in our environments, things we heard from growing up. Our moms didn't know any better, so they'd be like, boy, you so stupid, or you can't figure this out, you're not smart, or whatever, or dang, you so fat, look at you, you just really big, you need to work on that. We'll hear these things and we'll attach them to ourselves, and then we'll grow up with them and we'll continue to think these things, and they're not healthy. And I'll get into a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset later, but I really want to just focus on your thoughts. Your thoughts are so important, and they're important for your thoughts to be, your thoughts can, I would say in the beginning, when you're finding yourself and you're building yourself up, your thoughts should be concrete. Like, they should be firm thoughts. I'm in a situation where, like, I'm very philosophical, I'm theoretical. I constantly take in information, process it, and add it as I feel necessary, or discard it as I feel necessary, right? So my thoughts are very fluid, constantly fluid, but my foundation is the same. So say for instance, like you guys are like, what? How is that? How that doesn't make sense? Why do I have to be concrete in my thoughts, but you're fluid? So my thoughts are more so like the earth. The earth underneath of the water is what? It's very stable. It's there's earthquakes and stuff because it's constantly moving, but it is a firm foundation under the ocean. There is a foundation there, whether we see it or not. It's there, but on top, what happens? The water is constantly moving, constantly shifting. Even the crust of the earth is constantly moving. But one thing that doesn't change is that core. That core is always there. It is what it is, and that's going into finding your core of who you are, building that as your foundation, and then you go on top. Then you start to move up. But if you don't have a firm bottom, then that's what you need to focus on. Who am I? What do I say to myself? What do I need to be thinking? And literally, so many people have manifested miracles just from their thought process, just from changing their thinking. I tell people all the time, like, if you can't get a hold of your thoughts, start to change your actions, start to change your habits. Like, if you literally start reading, if you start exercising, if you start eating right, it does something to your brain where your brain will have no choice but to catch up to your body. But if you're vice versa, your body is like in control versus your mind, then start to change your mind and your body will have no choice but to align itself with whatever your mind is thinking. So the body's a wonderful thing. Like the brain, it's like meant to protect you. So if it's saying things like, I'm not good enough, I'm too old, I'm too this, it's literally just trying to protect you. Yeah, it's triggering some type of security warning, like, hey, we need to slow down. We need to be careful because maybe we can get hurt. Maybe we could be disappointed. Maybe we could be let down. And you really have to trick yourself into affirming that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. Once you start to put that into your core, you put that into your foundation, literally it opens up so many doors. Like you'll start thinking differently, you'll see the world in a different light, you'll calm your anxiety. The way you think really is like detrimental to your mental health. And it's crazy, yeah, of course it is, because it's literally mental health, and mental health is all based off of how we think. A lot of times when people have these schizophrenic disorders, bipolar, it stems sometimes from trauma, and it's trauma that wasn't gotten to you fast enough so that you could have a healing process. So these people grew up with these traumatic experiences, these traumatic ideals, and their brain came up with ways to protect itself. This happened to us, what can we do so it doesn't happen again? Or this happened to us, we don't understand why it happened to us, we can't properly process it, so now what happens? After ruminating on the thought, going over and over in your brain about it, you start to go a little crazy. So that's why it's important to really control your thinking. What is it that you're saying to yourself? What is it that you can't let go of? What is it that's keeping you up at night? What is it, that you hear in the darkest hours when you're by yourself? What is it that you hear when you're with other people? Sometimes you might think, oh, this person might be saying blah, blah, blah about me, but they're not. But why do you feel that way? Like, identify your insecurities within yourself. What is it that you think is saying, people are saying, and what is it that you are saying? Who said stuff to you in your past that you're still holding on to? And control your thoughts. One of my favorite sayings, other favorite sayings besides, as a man thinketh, so is he. Like, y'all need to write that down because that's so true. Change your thought, you change your life. But one of my other sayings is, he who indulges empty fears earns himself real fears. I used to have a nonprofit based off of building confidence, building up self-esteem, because it's so important to believe in yourself. Like, a lack of belief in yourself will just be a downfall for so many other things. You have low self-esteem, you're open to any and everything. Like, when you have a low self-esteem, it's like you're out there looking for treasure, but you keep attracting trash. You know what I'm saying? And it's because you don't believe in yourself. You don't have the boundaries set for yourself. You don't have the understanding of who you are and the greatness that you have. Everybody in the world is great. Period. I don't care. Come fight me. Everybody in the world is great in their own individual way. Everybody has talents. Everybody has gifts. Everybody has services that they can offer. Everybody has something special to bring to the world. But if when you were little, you were told you didn't, then you're gonna start to believe that. So you really have to contradict yourself and what other people have said and speak life into yourself. Don't have fear, because there's no reason for you to have fear, because you are who you are supposed to be. And like I said in the beginning, we all have choices. And whether you don't have a physical choice of where you could live or who you could live with or whatever you got going on in your life, you do have the emotional and mental choice all the time. Something devastating could happen and you could choose, okay, how am I going to feel about this? Like, for instance, I had a situation with my car, and it was like, you know what? One thing I took from it is, this is just something that's happening. It's not happening to me. It's happening to me, but this happens to thousands of people a day. I'm not going to take it personal. What I can control is how I respond to the situation. And me from years ago would have been in the bed with a bunch of snacks, feeling really down and depressed and just disgusted with life and over it. But like I said, my core is so strong now. My foundation is so strong now. My belief in myself is so strong now that I know whatever happens, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get out of it. It's going to work out in my favor. God has got my best interests at heart. Everything works in my favor. And I was literally like, wow, this was probably just a test from the universe, because the way I responded is totally different to how I would have responded. And a good thing about having control over your mental and your emotional state is being able to look back and see how far you progressed in your thinking patterns. Literally, like, everything's a habit. Just watch yourself from the outside perspective, and you pretty much probably do the same thing on a continuous basis. You probably have a thing you do every day for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You probably switch it up on the weekends, but most people are creatures of habit, and they do the same thing over and over again. Same thing goes for your thinking. As a man thinketh, so is he. So if you get into the pattern or the habit of thinking positively, you changing that habit, and your body, like I said, will have no choice but to react. If your mind is negative and you can't seem to get out of this funk, start moving your body in a different way, changing that habit, and your mind will have no choice but to redirect and catch up. So it's as simple as that. I know I say it's simple, but it's really not. It takes a lot of practice. Like, I struggled with depression for years, and I had to make a decision to say, no mas. No mas. Like, I'm not going to go through this anymore. I'm tired of this cycle. I'm tired of feeling down. I'm tired of being a victim. I'm going to take control. I couldn't take physical control. I couldn't control the situation I was living in. I couldn't control the situation I was working in. But what I could control was my mental. I could control my emotions. I could control how I felt about myself, how I looked at myself, in a different light. So those are things that I could control, and that's what I did. So the lesson for today, as a man thinketh, so is he. Don't indulge empty fears. And another thing, whenever you think yourself and you hear yourself say negative things, think to yourself, who lied to me? Where did I get this thought process from? Where do I get off thinking that I'm not as great as I really am? I'm not this wonderful person that I really am. Where did that come from? Start to identify and really become self-aware of the thought processes you're having, the information you're giving to yourself on a daily basis. Identify those lies and call them just that. That's a lie. I'm great. That's a lie. I'm beautiful. That's a lie. I'm not, unappealing. I'm not stupid. Like, off topic, but one thing that I really find disgusting is that in Baltimore, they say things like, "What's up, dummy?" Who started that? I'm sure it wasn't started in an endearing way. I'm sure kids were hearing themselves being called dummies by their parents or by their caretakers, and then it got passed on, and now it's just a thing. Words are so powerful. Be careful what you're saying to yourself, but also be careful what you're saying to others. So just like I said, who lied to you? Don't go lying to other people and speaking down on them or demeaning them because of something negative that you think about them. Keep that to yourself. Work on you. Like, literally, whenever you're projecting something onto somebody, you're stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that. We're fighting so many battles on a day-to-day. We do not need to hear things of that nature from anybody else. Like, don't be the one spreading that into somebody else's head, because when you walk away, those thoughts or those words, once they get into your ears, it's crazy because, and I'll talk about this another time too, but I think of ears as literally like receivers. They're receiving information, they're receiving sound, they're receiving vibrations all day. So what you're putting in somebody else's receivers, when you walk away, they still have that. And on that note, it's up to them to decide whether they receive that message or whether they reject it. That's not me, I don't receive that. But a lot of people don't know the power of words. A lot of people don't know the power of vibrations. A lot of people don't know that they're receiving messages all the time that they can either choose to keep or choose to let go. So if you don't understand that power, you're powerless. So as a man thinketh, so is he. 100%. Think positive, be positive. Put positivity out into the world constantly. I speak positivity over all of you. Anybody watching this, you are loved, you are blessed, you are a conqueror. Don't have any fear. Be fearless and be comfortable in who you are. I tell everybody, who lied to you, because like if you're saying something negative, I'm sure it stemmed from something, and most of the time, unfortunately, a lot of the things we say to ourselves stem from childhood. We're like in our 30s, 20s, and we're still dealing with things and thought processes and negativities that we received when we were 10 and under. So literally try to find your core, become self-aware in who you are. If you need help with this process, please contact me. I am a life coach. I can help you. We can identify what it is you're saying to yourself. We can identify what else you can say to yourself. One of the tools that I give my clients is, if you say something like, I'm not smart, then replace it with something just ridiculous. I am the smartest person in the world. I'm a genius. I every day surprise myself with how intelligent I am. Like literally go like that. I don't have money. I have so much money. I have all my provisions are met. I am wealthy. Like literally just get crazy with it and start to speak to yourself. The power of mirror work, of looking at yourself in the mirror and affirming who you are, speaking positivity into yourself, is so powerful. It feels awkward at first, it feels corny at first, but it is literally so powerful because your brain is literally hearing you say those words and then seeing you say it to yourself, and it takes it in, like, oh snap, that's how we feel about us. That process of, it's just so powerful. That's all I can say. So that's one of the things I recommend for my clients too. But I love you guys, and let's be positive and think positive. But the time went for slow, and the love went forward.